Hi, I'm Mimi Chen for AsAm News. Recently I spoke with Lisa Sasaki. She's the director of the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center, and she tells us about the new initiatives from the Smithsonian to highlight the contributions of Asian Americans to American life. She tells us all about this big event.
So the event is called The Party. It's a Smithsonian celebration of Asian Pacific Americans. And we're excited to be holding this during May's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Los Angeles. And we're excited to be able to hold the first of what we hope will be annual events where we're able to really highlight and talk about the amazing Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders we have across the country, and the work that they're currently doing in all different industries, in all different areas.
Yeah, it seems that you're honoring so many different types.
Yes, and what we're trying to do is really focus on the different industries where people are really doing sort of groundbreaking, ceiling-busting work. Whether that is groups like Hiroshima, who have been around for decades, doing work and creating music in a field that has fused music and Asian American music and jazz together. So that's something that we wanted to be able to highlight. Or somebody like Jay Park, who is a Korean American from Seattle, but is now taking the world by storm and is an international star when it comes to the music that he does in the area of hip hop and R&B. And as somebody who's signed to a label like Rock Nation, how he's really challenging the stereotypes of what it means to be Asian American. So I think all of our honorees have really been able to talk about not only their own sort of background and heritages, but also sort of breaking these boundaries when it comes to their industries.
What do you think, by highlighting their contribution, does it do for the Asian American community?
I think what it does is it helps people understand that the Asian Pacific American communities, that it's not all monolithic. In other words, we're not all the same. In fact, we have 100+ different languages spoken across Asia and Pacific America. The different communities are coming from all over, Asia and the Pacific, and coming here to the United States. That we're all incredibly complex and diverse, and we all have different backgrounds. But what we share is a history here in the United States that stretches back almost 200 years, and that we are all part of a growing group that is 18 million strong here in the U.S. And as a result of it, our history, arts, and culture is very diverse and is impacting America.
Oh, yes, in many different areas, obviously.
Exactly, and in some areas that people don't necessarily think about, whether it's business or music, the culinary arts, medicine, fashion. We want everybody to be able to see, especially in this event and in upcoming events, how important it is to recognize those contributions in all of these different industries and fields.
So this is the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center, but it says it's a migratory museum. What do you mean by that?
So the Asian Pacific American Center was created by the Smithsonian in order to help the institution tell diverse stories. And as a result, we have been working for about the last 20 years with units here in the Smithsonian. So there's 19 museums and 9 research centers, and we've been in the process of helping them tell diverse stories. And what we have done over the last 5 years, however, is really start to do work under the heading of the Asia Pacific American Center itself. So we have been doing public programs and major events not only here in Washington, D.C., but also across the country. And what we like to think of ourselves, because we do not currently have a physical space here in D.C., is thinking about ourselves as a migratory museum. In other words, we get to move around anywhere there is a community that we can partner with, anywhere that there's stories for Asian Pacific Americans to be told. And so that's how we like to think of ourselves, as sort of a museum without walls, both literally in the sense that we don't have a physical space, but also in the sense that we don't confine ourselves to a particular location either. However, in the future, one of the things that we're excited to announce at the upcoming event is our Keystone Initiative, the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Keystone Initiative, where we will be raising funds to be able to create the first dedicated gallery space here in Washington, D.C., in the Smithsonian, that will talk about the Asian Pacific American experience.
Are there some highlights that people can, expect from these upcoming migratory museum?
So we do events all over the country. One thing for people to keep an eye out, especially here in Washington, D.C. or the East Coast, is that we do hold, in partnership with the Library of Congress, an Asian American Literature Festival every other year. So in August 2019, we will be holding a 3-day event here in D.C. and inviting poets, authors, publishers from across the country to talk and have a symposium and a festival here in D.C. to talk about Asian American literature. And the theme for this year is on care and caregiving. We also have, of course, this event in Los Angeles that we hope everybody will attend on May 18th, where we'll be in Los Angeles for the party.
So it's L.A. where the big party is going to be happening.
Yes, exactly. So we are all across the country and doing events. We've done them in Honolulu. We've done events in Chicago, New York City, Philadelphia. So what I would do is to encourage people who are interested in finding out more about what the center does is to visit us on our website at smithsonianapa.org. And that's where all of our upcoming events will be listed.
And how did the idea of holding these events all come about?
I really think that this idea of holding events and programs outside of Washington, D.C. Really came about from the recognition of those 18 million and growing numbers of Asian Pacific Americans, to recognize the fact that most of the communities that have these large numbers and growing numbers of community members are actually not located here in Washington, D.C., but are all over the country. So whether that is California, Washington State, Hawaii, we know that there are also growing communities in the South as well as Middle America. We just felt that it was really important that, as opposed to expecting everybody to come and visit the center here in Washington, D.C. and to see the programs that we would put on within the Smithsonian, how important it would be for us to be able to get out to where the communities are and to do work with them there. So a lot of the programs that we do, regardless of the location, what we try to do is to partner with local organizations, with community members, with artists who are in those locations, so that we're able to highlight the work that they do, and to be able to bring visibility to them as a result of us being a part of the Smithsonian. So a lot of what we do when we do these events is really about getting outside of D.C. and into the communities and into the work that Asian Pacific Americans are doing out there in the United States.
There are also plans to fundraise for a permanent gallery at the Smithsonian. For AsAm News, I'm Mimi Chen.